Hi, I'm Dr. Valerie. I'm super excited to be here with you and talk about a very, very hot topic about the real reason women struggle in their relationship with money. You might have heard all the explanations that are not true. The explanations such as, oh, you just need to get out of your own way, or you need more confidence, or you need another business strategy. Well, all those things play a part, right? They're all parts of the same whole. However, there is a bigger reason why women, not just you individually, but women all over the planet, struggle with our relationship with money. And that's what we're going to talk about today. What that reason is, what it isn't, and what we can do about it. I'm Dr. Valerie, and I wrote the book called Patriarchy Stress Disorder, the invisible inner barrier to women's happiness and fulfillment. And what this book and my work has been all about is understanding that women didn't just arrive at this place where we're getting in our own way and we are not able to meet our goals, or we can't ask for a sale, or um, we make money but we don't grow wealth. Money comes in and just goes, right? We didn't just arrive at this place out of nowhere, and it's not our fault. So, what's really at play here is that for thousands of years, for millennia, women have been oppressed under patriarchy. Women did not have access to making money. Women did not have access to having a direct relationship with money. The only way for a woman to get access to money as a resource has been through a man. That was it. That was it. Not only didn't we have access to a direct relationship with money, we didn't even have ownership of our own bodies. Women have been property of men for thousands of years. So, when we look at that history and begin to consider how this history is playing out today in our subconscious minds, things begin to look and feel a little differently. A little differently. So here's a little bit of history for you. It was the year 1960, when a woman in the United States got the right to open her own bank account in her own name. 1960. It was the year 1988 that a woman in the United States got the right to take out a business loan without a male relative cosigner. 1988. Let that sink in. It's not ancient history. For many of us, it's in our lifetime, our mother's lifetimes. So now we have the opportunity to have our businesses. We have the opportunity to have the direct relationship with money. However, our bodies and our subconscious minds and the stories in our DNA have not caught up to this opportunity. And it is not a matter of changing the way we think. You're brilliant. If you could have thought your way out of it, you would have. You would have. And I know it's not for the lack of trying. You have tried a lot of things. I know you've read self-help books, you've taken courses, you're working very hard in your business. And good for you. And this is amazing. It's amazing that we have this opportunity right now. The opportunity that I'm going to talk to you about today has to do with radically liberating our direct relationship with money by healing the trauma of oppression that we have inherited from generations and generations of women who did not have access to money, our mothers, our grandmothers, etc., etc. Healing this trauma of oppression that lives in our bodies, in our DNA, in our subconscious, so that we can actually take advantage of the opportunities that exist in the world right now, thanks to the previous generations of women who fought very hard for that right to have our own bank account, to be able to take out a business loan, to be able to have our businesses and have access to capital and have access to cash and have that direct relationship with money. So, on the one hand, yes, we have managed collectively to create these opportunities, not all over the world, but in some places in the world where you are right now, because you are in this group, you are a business owner. So you are a privileged recipient of this opportunity. And with that comes responsibility to also see, recognize, and take advantage of the opportunity to heal the trauma of oppression in the body, in the DNA, in the nervous system, in our subconscious, so that through that liberation, you embody the change, you embody what's possible for women all over the world. And that is how collectively we shift out of the systems of oppression, patriarchy, colonialism, racism, all the systems of oppression that have been holding us back and keeping us stuck in the external world, quite literally, and internalized by living in our systems. So, what do I mean when I say that trauma lives in our bodies, that trauma lives in the DNA, that trauma lives in our subconscious? There is exciting evidence that comes from the field of epigenetics that tells us that trauma is genetically transmitted. I'm going to share with you a study. I discovered it when I was working on my book, Patriarchy Stress Disorder, The Invisible Inner Barrier to Women's Happiness and Fulfillment. In this study, researchers introduced the smell of cherry blossoms to mice while simultaneously zapping their feet with mild electric shocks. The mice were then bred, and their children and their grandchildren, when exposed to the smell of cherry blossoms, showed a strong fear and anxiety reaction. The researchers saw that these traumatic experiences were genetically transmitted. Now, for all we know, mice don't sit around the fire and tell their grandchildren, beware the cherry blossoms. In my days, when I was a little mouse, right? It doesn't matter what we say. It doesn't matter what stories we tell to ourselves and others. Not as much as we think, literally. What matters and what actually drives the bus is the subconscious mind and the body where it actually expresses and manifests. From neuroscience, we now know that our actions are decided in our subconscious. Take that in. It's mind-blowing, literally. Our actions are decided in our subconscious. The conscious mind catches up later to rationalize them. So when you are finding yourself looking at this proposal that you need to write, and all of a sudden you have 50 tabs open on your browser and you're procrastinating or you're engaging in self sabotage, what's really happening is your subconscious mind, the trauma that's imprinted there, is driving the bus, and it's keeping you safe from being visible and from the danger of making money, because it has never been allowed under patriarchy. It has never been permitted. And actually, it has been a punishable offense under patriarchy. Being a woman, being a powerful, visible woman, has always been a punishable offense. Women who reached for cherry blossoms, for our desires, for our authenticity, women who dared to love who they love, women who dared to trust their own inner knowing, women who dared to share their gifts with the world in their own ways, were burned at the stake. They were drowned. They were locked up in asylums as insane. They were excommunicated, exiled. There have been dire consequences that women faced throughout history for daring to step into their own power and authenticity in any way. So our subconscious now is keeping us safe from going there. Our subconscious did not get the memo that they are not burning us at the stake anymore. Our subconscious didn't get the memo that it's actually unsafe not to make money right now. It is unsafe because that's survival, right? The survival used to be, the key to survival used to be stay invisible. Stay invisible, fly under the radar, don't shine too brightly. Don't reach for cherry blossoms. Now, it has flipped overnight in the past few decades, in a very, very, very short period of time. It has flipped to it is actually unsafe to be seen and not heard. It is unsafe not to be making money. Survival is now in visibility, in women being visible, in women being in their power, in women being authentic, showing up authentically, leading, and being paid very well for their gifts and talents that are changing the world. Because if we're not paid well for our gifts and talents, we don't have access to money and we don't have access to changing the world. We are not at the table. If women don't have access to the capital, if women don't have access to the levers that move decisions and policies and causes in our society through money as the energy of creation expressed in density as money. If women don't have access to that, we cannot create the world that we dream of, a fair, just, abundant world for everyone. We cannot do that. And the systems of oppression know that very well. That's why they traumatized us so severely. They shocked us, electric shocks to the feet, and so much worse than that, again and again, every generation, again and again, so that we stay in compliance with the rules of the oppressive system. In my book and in my healing system that I call a jailbreak system, I use the metaphor of the invisible in the prison when I talk about PSD, Patriarchy Stress Disorder, and other kinds of trauma that live in our subconscious, that live in our bodies, and that show up as that invisible in the barrier to women's happiness, fulfillment, and wealth. I know you know what those invisible in the berries feel like. I know you're running into them every day. You're working very hard. And I'm here to tell you it's not your fault. There is nothing wrong with you. And you may have been working very hard to fix what's not broken. What's actually at play here is your nervous system, is your subconscious mind working very hard to keep you safe. And what needs to happen to resolve this? We need to jailbreak from the invisible in the prison of trauma by uncovering and healing it. In my book, I describe a 5-step jailbreak system that's a distillation of 20 plus years of my search, research, and my own journey. And I'll share snippets with you. You can read some on my website. You can listen to them on my podcast as well, the Dr. Valerie podcast. And my website is drvalerie.com, DRVALERIE. And by the way, you can download the first chapter of the book there as well. So it's drvalerie.com/book. You can download the first chapter there and start diving in and see how that's resonating for you. And for now, I just want to say that I'm in the same boat. My journey of uncovering PSD began when I was a little girl. And my life was defined by the question, what's wrong with me? What's wrong with me? Why am I getting these messages that, don't shine too brightly? Don't be so smart. People will not like that. No one will want to marry you. Or don't eat that, you'll get fat. Or you look good, meaning you lost weight. Or don't wear this, you look slutty. Don't wear that, you look like a nun. Hey, all these messages driving home that something is wrong with me. And of course, what did I study to figure out the answer to that question? Psychology. 2 graduate degrees in psychology. And 2 graduate degrees later, I was living what I thought was the life of my dreams. I had a thriving private practice in New York. I had a family and home in New York City suburbs. And I adored my family. I adored my home. I adored my life. I loved my work, loved my clients. And one day I was on the phone with a client when I noticed I was smiling only with the right side of my face. And the left side of my face just hung in there, as did my left arm. And I finished the call. I got out. And using my right arm, I drove myself to the hospital. Drove myself to the ER. And there, after scanning me up and down for a whole day, they gave me the diagnosis of, quote unquote, just stress, which puzzled me tremendously because I actually didn't feel stressed because my life was good and normal, right? I was just taking care of business. I was taking care of my family. I was taking care of my clients. Yes, I was busy, but if you had asked me if I were happy, I would have said, of course. But when that happened, when that health scare interrupted the flow of my workaholism and stress, underneath that security blanket was a very uncomfortable realization that I wasn't as happy and fulfilled on the inside as I was on the outside. And it was a very desperate moment because I had done everything I knew how to do. I excelled in school and in my career. I got married, had a beautiful daughter, was doing the work I loved. I took every personal development course that I could get my hands on, and every self-help book I read that crossed my path and resonated as that potential answer to the question, what's wrong with me? And still, I wasn't happy and fulfilled, and I felt so terrible. I felt like a failure. I felt like a fraud because here I was being a psychologist, helping people and not being able to help myself. And I felt ungrateful. What else do I want? My life is good. Maybe that's all there is. Am I greedy? Am I reaching for something that doesn't exist? Or am I so broken that nothing works for me? But thankfully, at that point, I had the example of my own clients who were shifting out of the numbness and under living their lives and stepping into their power, getting in touch with their desires, going for cherry blossoms full on. And I asked, what am I doing for my clients that I'm not doing for myself? And the answer was, with all of my clients, I was using mind body trauma healing tools. Even though most of my clients didn't have big traumatic experiences, they had normal childhoods, they had normal lives, um, and and they all showed this telltale symptom of trauma. You want to know what that is? It's disconnection from parts of themselves, from parts of their authentic selves, authentic desires, from parts of their body, and from that ability to create a life designed by their desires with ease. And the irony was that I wasn't using these tools for myself because I didn't think that I had trauma. The whole left side of my body had to go offline to show me that, yes, you do. You have this disconnection and it runs deep. And so that's when I got curious as to, could there be some kind of trauma that we're just not paying attention to and we're not talking about that affects us all? And that's when the dots connected for me. The research on intergenerational transmission of trauma was coming out, showing that traumatic experiences are genetically transmitted. And the realization that women have been oppressed for thousands of years and oppression is traumatic. That's how the discovery of PSD happened, and it changed everything. It changed everything. It transformed my life, which is a story for a different day. Or I share that story on my website, actually, if you want to check it out, drvalerie.com. And in my book, in the first chapter of my book, I definitely share that story, drvalerie.com/book. You can download that for free and see if that resonates, if you want to keep reading. And this healing system emerged that I'm calling Jailbreak System, that has 5 steps, 5 stages. It's very elegant, it's very effective. And it doesn't work with what we think or what we do, not directly. Actually, our thoughts and behaviors shift dramatically as the outcome of what we do. And what we do is we work directly with the subconscious and the nervous system through the body. And it's very elegant, it's very effective. It's not therapy. You're not sitting around for weeks and weeks and years. You're not talking about what happened. Truth is, most of us, well, all of us, carry in our bodies traumatic experiences that we have inherited. We don't even know what happened. We don't even know what happened, but our bodies know. And every time you experience, let's say, fear of public speaking, or fear of making a sale, making an offer, and you feel it in your body, it's not you getting in your own way. There is nothing to change here about how you think. That's not going to cut it. What needs to happen is the nervous system needs to learn that it's actually safe. That it's actually safe. And in my system, I teach a whole in-depth method, that methodology that's based on over 20 years of that research and working with thousands of women who have been able to, including myself, have been able to jailbreak from the invisible in the prison of intergenerational and collective traumas, holding us back and step into the fullness of their life, into the direct relationship with money, building wealth, shining brightly, being fully expressed in our authenticity, in our sexuality, in our brilliance. And that is something that I share about in my book, Patriarchy Stress Disorder, the Invisible Inner Barrier to Women's Happiness and Fulfillment. And if that resonates with you, I have a very special invitation for you today. You ready? Once every season, we gather for a virtual experience that is free to attend. It's a free virtual retreat where we take the information that I share in the book and we pour it into the transformation that we experience through actually going into the body and discovering those invisible inner barriers and seeing them with clarity, oftentimes for the first time, recognizing truly that there is nothing wrong with you, having a visceral experience, because you can hear me say it a million times and it's not going to make a difference. It's having the experience that takes information into transformation. So we're gathering in 2 weeks, August 14th through the 16th. It's a full-on experience and it's free to attend. So if it's resonating with you, head on over to thethrivingexperience.com, thethrivingexperience.com. And please don't keep it a secret. Share this message and share this invitation if it resonated with you with other women you want to share this journey with. Because as long as women remain in the silos of shame, thinking there's something wrong with them, that they're somehow in their own ways, failing themselves by under-earning, under-living, under-expressing, none of us are free. And we are creating this massive shift into freedom and liberation for all, creating a thriving life, creating a thriving world together. And the theme of the retreat this time, this season, is reclaiming and healing our relationship with money. It's going to be very, very hot. If what I shared resonated with you, thethrivingexperience.com, please check it out. If it resonates, sign up, join us. It's free to attend. And you can check out testimonials from the previous experiences, and you'll see that women have dramatic breakthroughs and reclamations from this experience alone. I hope that this was valuable for you. I hope that you'll take away the liberating nugget of wisdom that is based in science of epigenetics, neuroscience, biology, psychology, that there is nothing wrong with you. There is something wrong, but not with you. And what's wrong is that we are carrying in our bodies intergenerational collective traumas that we now have the opportunity to heal so that we can fully take advantage of the opportunity to shine brightly, to make big bucks in our businesses, have humongous impact, and create a thriving world for everyone. I hope you join us, thethrivingexperience.com. And I'll see you again in the space soon. Feel free to ask me any questions here, tag me, and I'll show up to chat with you.